Ladies and gentlemen, hello. All paying attention? Yep. Okay, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for coming here this evening for this important event. It is my pleasure to welcome our speakers, Charlene, Gerry.
Has to be close to the amount.
Oh, Charlene, Gerry, Melissa, and of course Monica, Australia's first political prisoner. Each of our panels shall speak for about 15 minutes, and I shall raise my left hand to indicate you're coming to the end of your time. Hold on. It's better like this, I think. So there will be a 15-minute break after the first two speakers. So the smokers can go out and have a bit of fresh air, and the rest of us can stretch our legs. Anyone who'd like to speak personally to our speakers can do so at the end of the conference. Monica has told me that she has free gifts to hand out to you all, and we all love free gifts. There's one for everyone in the audience. So my name is Tom Jennings. I have arranged this conference to help motivate positively in you, who I'm certain have a very good awareness of the political deception and the narrative that has been peddled to us by the leftist politicians and their useful idiots, the mainstream media. So rather than preach to you who are the converted, I have invited these speakers to inspire you to take courage from their endeavours and knowledge, and remember together, we can stop them. We can slow this down at least, but we will stop them. Our speakers are a mixed bunch with different backgrounds, but a united goal. So I think everyone here has a united goal this evening. So let me first introduce our first speaker, Charlene, who's been fighting for the freedom of parents to fulfil their duties and their exercise their God-given rights to protect their children from the state in its diabolical crusade to sexualise our children and rob them of their innocence. So ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Charlene Higgins.
Did we use that one as well? Close? Just put it on your coat. It's been a while since I've spoke publicly, folks, so I'm just going to read from my script. Right, so I'll start body popping, right? I'm not an alcoholic, I have trauma shakes. So I'll just start. Good evening, everyone. I was going to make a joke there and say, well, that's the crack term these days, isn't it? My name is Charlene. Thanks for introducing me, Tom. Adult human female, just in case anyone's in any doubt. I am a mother first, and in the past few years a grandmother, and I'm totally opposed to the current agenda in the world we live in. So I'm here to talk to you tonight about the new relationship and sexual education, or RSE, as it is also referred to, and the sexualisation of our children. A wee bit of background about me, as not many will know me. In fact, hardly any of you will know me. My moral compass and my professional skills in health and safety encouraged me to speak up publicly for the first time when they introduced the masks for the kids. I particularly didn't care what adults done back then. They could do what they want. It was the children I had concern about. So when they introduced those masks as a control measure for the children during the scam, not that it took much, to be honest, Melissa will tell you, it takes a lot for me to keep my mouth shut. So that's why I'm staying on script tonight, folks. So I've been supporting parents and others for a few years and have experience in different situations, both personally and in providing support to other people. In dealing with schools, both primary and secondary, I don't speak publicly regularly, so it's better for everyone if I stay on script. See, I can't even read my own writing. So I work with some really good people. Some of them are in the room. They're now really great friends, and I have also great friends with legal expertise, and we have access to a lawyer. So if there was a chance that we needed to take a class action, there's somebody there ready to go. Where am I? Okay, yeah, so we've all been meeting and collaborating on a strategy and on ways to push back against this. So I will speak about this before I finish, as some of the information out there already around this sex education is extremely hard to look at, in particular to read. So I want people to have hope before talking about the nitty-gritty. So I will tell you about the plan and the strategy at the end, so just bear with me. Most of what I'm about to say here came off the back of personal conversations with my friend who's a barrister. So him and I, we will take documents and basically, have conversations on the phone or in person You know, he loves to tell me, you know, 3.2.16, are you on it? And I'm like, no, I'm still making the dinner, would you give me a break? And then I have another team of people that I work with on a Tuesday night, and we do exactly the same, only we are aware that time is of the essence. So we all take what we can do, we do it, we meet, we talk about it, and we've got thousands upon thousands of information and questions to give to everyone, just not tonight. So I'll start off. Everyone's aware RSE programs are already taught to children in post-primary under the current curriculum. However, this recent addition, it's actually to satisfy Schedule 2, Part 1 of the Education Content Minimum, NI Order 2007. Remember that date. Section B, Areas of Learning and Contributory Elements, which sets out to include age-appropriate, comprehensive, and scientifically accurate. Right, so I've highlighted those three things. So they want to do this education on sexual and reproductive health and rights, covering prevention of early pregnancy and access to abortion, and then to monitor its implementation. They also state this in their letters from the Director of the Curriculum and Assessment in the Department of Education. They were issued on the 20th of June and the 7th of August to the principals of the post-primary schools in Northern Ireland. Basically, to me, they were a low-level warning about what's about to come. So, for me, the buzzwords here, and I hope for you, are age-appropriate and scientifically accurate. I highlighted the comprehensive, as the Northern Ireland Human Rights Commission have involved themselves in this too, by issuing their report in support of it. However, they do appear to abrogate their responsibility in these crucial regards because they interchange the terms RSE with CSE at page 6.1.4.1. You can thank my friend for that. The term CSE derives from the UNESCO report titled Comprehensive Reproductive Sexuality Education. It's International Technical Guidance on Sexuality Education. International Technical Guidance. So, you know, they haven't issued our guidance yet, but you can best believe it's going to mirror this. This is what they call an evidence-informed approach, revised edition from UNESCO, dated 2018. So, I'm aware probably nobody's got this report yet, or maybe people do, but page 17, it's very, very concerning, so I want to draw everyone's attention to that. In page 17 it states, children are to be able to develop life skills needed to support healthy choices. This includes the ability to reflect and make informed decisions, communicate and negotiate effectively, and demonstrate assertiveness. These skills can help children and young people form respectful and healthy relationships with family members, peers, friends, and romantic or sexual partners. Since when do children have sexual partners? Anyone? Anyone in the room can tell me when children are allowed to have sexual partners? I didn't think so. I would seriously recommend that everyone in this room, whether you have children or not, download this report and read it. And then re-download it and give it to somebody who does have kids and get them to read it. And in fact, don't stop fucking reading it. In relation to age appropriate, who deems our children age appropriate? It is the parents who hold authority over their children, granted to them by God, in whichever way he is believed in. Using these words suggests the state is expressing authority. Well, to be honest, they are, because if you note that date, 2007, they made the decision back then that our kids were to be taught this. We just didn't know, and neither consulting us at the last minute, purely because we made noise following the vote. The notion of this new sex education stems from something called the CEDAW report, a report that was carried out by a committee that has a public membership, yet there's no membership apparent from the UK or Northern Ireland. Point 43 of this report states, the designated members observed that young people in Northern Ireland were denied the education necessary to enjoy their sexual and reproductive health and rights. So now they want them to fucking enjoy it. Since when do children have sexual rights, and why use words like enjoy? So if this is all as innocent as the Secretary of State or, you know, our education department would have us believe, why do people persist in mentioning the words sexual rights, enjoy and enjoyment in their official documents? If they weren't going to do it, they wouldn't put it in there. So we have no official guidance released yet, and we haven't been consulted, nor have we seen any materials being selected for use in our schools in Northern Ireland. We do have access to materials and information from the UK, Wales and the South, amongst other countries, with the reports mentioned here and others, and the World Health Organization's standards for sexuality education in Europe, which is dated 2010. So again, all these dates. This report uses language that suggests it's really not that bad. Now, it does suggest that it's not that bad. But then, if you look at the words and the language contained in their attachment, which they call the matrix, funny enough, it would suggest the opposite. Now, I'm not here and I'm not going to go into what it says. I'm not going to tell you anything about, what is potentially going to be taught to our children, because it's too doom and gloom, and that's not what we're here for. If you want to go look at it, go look at it. I'm sick of fucking looking at it. Regardless of what guidance we do get, people, guidance is simply guidance. It's not law. We had this during COVID, with our guidance and the risk assessments and the principal saying, we have to stick to guidance. And I'm telling them, how about sticking to the law? They didn't put a mask on my child because I threatened them with the law. They didn't do anything with my child because I threatened them with the law. Could I get any other parent to do it? No. So, I was going off on a bit of a rant there, sorry. Okay, so yes, we do have access to that, right? I brought a copy with me if anyone would like to see it. So for context, the Department of Education has authority to issue directions, right? So directions is guidance. They have authority to issue it to schools under the Education and Libraries Northern Ireland Order 1986, Article 101. So generally, under the guise of circulars, they can issue stuff. But those circulars, once again, do not place a legal requirement upon a school. So schools don't know this. Their legal teams know it. So we need to get to the schools before their legal teams catch on. There is no scientific basis for gender ideology, nor scientifically accurate evidence to suggest that children need to be taught to have sex. If there is, why is the age of consent 16? Who gathered the evidence and then called it scientifically accurate? Should we be doing access NI checks on these people? I really think so. It is stated the implementation is also to be monitored, but nowhere does it tell us how. I'm not sure if anyone in the room has come across something called the UNESCO Surat tool as yet, but I have looked at this in depth as it caught my attention and it just wouldn't let me be. No matter how many times I put it down, it wouldn't leave me alone. I had it in my handbag and I kept it in work with me, so much so until I decided, right, I'll just do a freedom of information and get this out of my head. So I sent an extensive freedom of information to the Education Authority. I have a copy of that with me too if anyone wants to see it. This tool, the Surat tool, is called the Sexuality Education Review and Assessment Tool. So it's a data harvesting tool, folks. What I used to call in the early days of office working was a database. It would appear to be a tool designed to monitor the implementation of this new curriculum. And looking into this, it has raised serious concerns about the potential of this new curriculum being taught amongst other subjects. This would then make it harder for us parents to prevent our children being exposed to it, because we can't take them out of technology, we can't take them out of life learning for work, we can't take them out of home economics. In fact, we'll just have to remove them from the school. These people are smart, but guess what? I'm smarter. So, it's definitely a tool. The Education Authority, just rest assured, because they've told me, we don't have any information on that. And neither do they hold any data, and they're not partners. So we're very lucky, us in Northern Ireland, because they must not going to be using this. One of the questions I will conclude this part of my speech on is question 6, and it really stands out to me, and it's another question of my own freedom of information that will not leave me alone. The question I asked at point 6, can the Education Authority Northern Ireland confirm if they are a partner of UNESCO? Plain and simple. Loads of this stuff's coming out of UNESCO. They state to me in writing they hold no data. Therefore, we can all assume the answer is no. However, if they go on and aim to use the UNESCO shit in the materials for our schools, they'll then look a bit silly having stated this in writing, won't they? Everyone in this room should be sending freedom of informations. It takes 2 minutes. It's called gathering the evidence against these people, folks. We all need to be at it. Whilst this subject is very intense, the world at the minute is very intense, it's very worrying and troubling situation for parents and families in Northern Ireland. We do have great teams of ordinary people, some with fantastic skills, who are actively opposing this by whatever means they can. We do have a strategy and we do have letters for people to act on. People Power Stop the Sex Show in the Mac Theatre in Belfast. Let's see what it can do with this. The great thing about strategy is it provides a way forward and it gives us hope. Stages of the strategy are released currently via a WhatsApp community. Aware some people might know about the truth behind RSE WhatsApp groups. I'm not associated with them, I'm not affiliated with them, I will not collaborate with them. It's been a long 2 months of trying, they just don't want to know. So if I take your number tonight, folks, please rest assured, you're going into a chat group specific to your area, which means there is an area coordinator. Should you send a letter to the school or encourage a family member to send a letter to the school and encounter difficulties, your area coordinator is there for you. I am a trained advocate, I will go into the school with you. Please do not be afraid. At the minute, I am working closely with Jolene Bunton and she looks after the end of the communication and putting out the strategy. She's done an amazing job in creating the community over WhatsApp and populating the groups with factual information to keep people up to speed as things are ever changing, which changes the strategy, because then we need to have legal and professional input. But we do have some solid things that can be done now. Together, as we know, we need to make a lot of noise and ensure that noise gets so bad that these people who want to enforce this on us and our children have no option left but to remove it to make the noise stop. These people have used nudge unit on us, NLP tactics on us, and they now dictate to us. Now they want to do the same to our innocent children and potentially add sex worker to career pathways? I think the fuck not. Some of the things we can do together is write to local newspapers and bombard your local politicians. Loads of people think it's useless. Believe it or not, I personally do think it's a bit useless. However, they bombard us, we need to bombard them. So I send the emails and I send them every week. If there's anyone here that maybe has someone in Jonathan Buckley's constituency, you need to get on to him pronto. He's now come out and stated that he's going to run a campaign to let kids be kids. So, fair play to him, but you're late to the game, Buckley. Another effective piece of strategy is parents in the park. It used to be called Stand in the Park during the Great Scam, and Portadown is absolutely smashing it with ours. So Pam runs the Portadown coordination and she has her parents in the park well up and running. It's getting the information out there, it's providing support to people, and people actually like it. So don't be afraid to start one up, or if you need an area coordinator, you can speak to me at the end. All you need to do this is consistency for 1 hour, 1 day a week. That's all it takes, and these things naturally grow themselves. We are lucky to have inside knowledge of how different schools operate and what the most effective approach will be. We are also lucky that I did a lot of guinea pigging myself in schools, so I can tell you right now, if you go in there and unleash your Hulk, it's game over for your child. Don't do it, folks. Now is not the time for aggression. We need to be friends with these people, and we need to have these people see it from where we see it. We need to trigger their moral compass because they're teachers first and foremost. I'm not going to get finished in everything I have to say, so I will put more bits of the strategy, give it to Tom, or give my script to anyone who needs it. But just so you know, there is 2 letters for parents. So myself and my Tuesday night team, with the help of many others, constructed one, which is specific for the principal, safeguarding teacher, and your child's year ahead. So we're in post-primary situation here, folks, not primary. The second letter is to go to your Board of Governors, and this letter blew me away. It was written by my friend who is a barrister. Please make use of these letters and please encourage every single parent you know to send them. If we don't do this en masse, they're coming for our kids en masse. So to close, please teach your children first. We are at war. Only you know what is suitable to tell your child. We all know the power teachers have over them in a school situation. Please do not let a teacher gain further power by not informing your child. Not all teachers are like this, we know that, but we have to err on the side of caution. Our children are precious. My daughter has been informed to the level I think she needs to be about what this new curriculum entails, and she understands that while she's only 12, she may be needed to stand up first to encourage her peers to do the same. Yes, I know it's my job to protect her, but it's also my job to teach her how to protect herself and stand up for what she believes in, especially if I'm not there to have her back. We need to have conversations with our children before some pervert on a power trip does. And we need to prepare them for a mass walkout or a deregistration situation should the need arise. War is war. It is up to you which sword you pick up and who you protect with it. Please choose the children. Please empower yourself and them against this evil desire to sexualise them, because I believe empowered parents and children are the agenda's worst nightmare. So let's give it to them on a plate with some poison. Thank you.
Well, our next speaker probably needs no introduction. Our next speaker is Gerry. Gerry is a staunch Irish patriot and a devout Catholic who has certainly paid a high price for his convictions. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite Gerry McGeough to talk to you.
I'd just like to, first of all, thank Tommy and all involved in organising this event tonight. And it's been tremendous and very educational listening to Charlene. I know that we have Melissa coming along and Monica. They're going to really enlighten us even further. So without further ado, I'll just get stuck in here. By the way, Charlie, is this my good side? Yep, thank you. Okay, Carja, in July 1982, I found myself in Yosemite National Park in California in the United States of America. I'd hitchhiked into that park early one morning and got into it right about mid-morning. So it gave me time to look around me, to go along the various trails, again the absolutely stunning views like Dome Rock and all the rest of it. It was a tremendous experience. I was enthralled by it, absolutely enthralled. But early afternoon wore into mid-afternoon and I realised I'd better get out of here because I'm hitchhiking, all I got is a little backpack. Oh, and by the way, I was on the run from the FBI at the time, which added a certain je ne sais quoi frisson to the whole experience. But that's neither here nor there. I'm on the run for allegedly shipping arms back to the Irish Republican cause here in Ireland. But as I say, that's neither here nor there for the purposes of this particular gathering. So in any case, all the tourists were packing into their coaches. Yeah, we might as well let all the intelligence agencies get this as well, you know. So all these tourists are packing into the coaches were growling and taking off, and here was me with my little backpack, struggling up out of the valley, hitchhiking for the best all I could and getting no lifts. And then I went and kept moving and moving, and all of a sudden I had a Jack Kerouac moment. I thought to myself, well, you know what? I'm in Yosemite. There's got to be loads of fire station lookout posts on the hills and mountains around. Why don't I go up to one of them and just hang out for a couple of days? And I saw this roadway, it wasn't hard, so I walked up it, began walking. And I walked, thinking, well, eventually I'm going to get to the top of whatever mountain is here. Walked and I walked and I walked and I walked. And then I walked and I walked and I walked. And suddenly I found myself in a very narrow little pathway, twisting, overgrown on either side. And I realized, you know, this is California. In Ireland, as Monica may have noticed, it takes all night getting dark. But there, 1 minute it's daylight and 10 minutes later it's pitch dark. So here's me bang in the middle of the woods of California, and I hear a rustling going on in the trees about 100 feet away. And then all of a sudden it dawns on me, this is bear country. This is bear country. And I'm walking along here presenting myself as Meals on Wheels. So I thought to myself, you know what? It's one thing being killed in action fighting the British in the north, but to be eaten and end up as bear poo in California holds no honour or glory whatsoever. It doesn't even bear thinking about. So in any event, I started getting out of there, and I moved and I walked and I walked. I got as far as I could, and I started praying. And I prayed really intensely, Macharja. I prayed intensely because I was actually scared. And I moved, and the woods was getting much darker. Struggled through the woods, and somehow or other I landed on a tar road. So I figured, well, this is a move in the right direction. Now, which way do I go to get onto some of the freeways or highways, which are at least an hour away? So I hitchhiked. There was nothing really coming on, but there came one vehicle, and I gave it the full mega thumb. And lo and behold, it ground to a halt. It was one of those big camper vans. Side door flung open. A guy sticks a head out and says, do you want a lift? Yes. So bunged into this particular van. And there were about 7 or 8 young guys of my age, which back then was early 20s. And they were all there. And they said, where are you headed? And I said, well, I'm trying to go north. And they said, well, we're going south, but we'll take you out to the freeway and drop you off. I said, guys, that's fantastic. That's wonderful. I really appreciate it. And where are you from? And it turns out they were Schweizer Deutsch. Valentino, I see you over there. They were Swiss Germans, and they had hired a camper van to travel around California. And they were all students, and they were all very, very nice fellows. They asked where I was from. I told them I was from Ireland, and they lit up immediately. They asked me, have you ever been to Switzerland? I said, yes, I've been in Zurich and many other parts of it, through the Alps into Italy. And they said, have you been to our city? What's that? San Gallen. No. And I was ashamed to say, I didn't know anything about it, because they went on to tell me it was founded by an Irish saint way back in the 600s, late 5, 6, early 600s. And I go, really? And I really felt embarrassed that I didn't know, because I always pride myself on knowing my history. But lo and behold, it was founded. They were very proud of the fact that 1,500 years later, they were denizens of that city, which was founded by an Irish monk who went on to become one of our great saints, originally from an area which roughly nowadays corresponds with County Cavan. So, I mean, that was wonderful. Anyway, on we went. I got out of the van, away we went, and we all went into history. Until last year, 40 years later, July 9th, whatever it was, 2022, I was reading an edit, one of the Catholic Voices. Thanks, Jackie, for supplying me with it. And the Catholic Voice, flipping through the page, bang, out comes St. Gallen, a story about St. Gallen. And I read through it avidly. And I discovered, and I knew vaguely what he had done, but I didn't know this. St. Gallen had gone to Switzerland, he had gone on to Bobbio and other places on the continent, but while he was in the wilderness of Switzerland, and bear in mind, it wasn't Switzerland back then, it was Western Christendom, if you like, or Europe, which was in the complete throes of barbarity. The Roman Empire had collapsed a few centuries before. Attila the Hun had wrecked and pillaged his way through it, and plagues had devastated the populations. They had lost whatever Christianity they had, they'd lost whatever learning they'd had. And these Irish monks were going out and bringing it back to them. But St. Gallen was out in the wilderness, in the woods, lit a fire for himself to warm himself at, when a bear attacked him. A bear came hurtling out of the woods to attack him. And he very calmly continued to warm himself, prayed to God, and ordered the bear to stop. Not only did the bear stop, but it went back into the woods to bring firewood for him to continue to warm himself. And then the penny dropped for me. The penny absolutely. God has a sense of humour. It was St. Gallen who actually interceded on my behalf. I was afraid of these bears in California, prayed hard. He sent along men from his hometown, St. Gallen, which he had founded, who picked me up and saved me on that particular day. So that really got me thinking, not just about St. Gallen, but about the power of prayer, the power of what we call coincidence, which is really the work of angels, McGeough. And it also brought home to me the Irish saints, the Irish scholars. Ireland was known as the land of saints and scholars, not for nothing, because hundreds, literally hundreds of monks and scholars and holy women went out to barbaric Europe, as it was at that time. They brought the light of Christianity. They went as far east as Kiev, way up to Iceland, all over, establishing monasteries, establishing houses and places of learning. And the people who wanted to learn in Europe travelled to Ireland. This was the only beacon. This was all that was left of Europe. And those Irish monks, well-educated men, they actually collated what was left of Latin, recalibrated it, so the Latin that we know today is filtered through to us, not from the Roman Empire as such directly, but through the Irish saints. And as a matter of fact, in Europe, there are monasteries which have in their archives literally tons of manuscripts, which no one has looked at in hundreds of years. And it would behoove an Irish state to spend money, not on NGOs to promote the sort of filth that Charlene has been telling us about to our young children, but to send academics out there to go through these manuscripts written by Irishmen 1,500 years ago, and wrote the sides in codices in Gaelic, the great stories, all that are there. That should be collated instead of what's happening at the moment. But in any case, these men, they went out there, they brought the light of learning with them. And they also brought organisation. The Carolingian court had people like Johannes Scotus. They worked there with the bureaucracy of Charlemagne's court in Europe, which became the Heiligen Römisches Reich, or the Holy Roman Empire. Dicuel, he wrote about geography. He wrote about, having heard it from another Irishman, a canal from the Nile to the Red Sea, which has since disappeared. but they know it's there. He had actually written about that on the measurements of the earth centuries before his time. So those are people that we are proud of. That's what we should be proud of. And the reason I'm saying all this is because that is our root. These are our roots. Our roots run deep in Christianity. The Irish nation was founded through Christ, through Christianity. That's what gave us our strength. That's what gave us our energy. Those men from little remote island out in the Atlantic surged through Europe full of confidence, ready to take on the world because they had the power of Christ and the power of prayer behind them. They were proud to be Catholic. They were proud to evangelize. That is the mission of our nation. Always has been and always will be, but it has been diverted, thwarted and undermined. Now, be that as it may, we all know the state we're in now. This is far from the land of saints and scholars, very much so. But nevertheless, it can be restored, can be reconquered again. I believe that. Imagine for one moment that this isn't, whatever it is, 2023, go back 70 years, 1953, okay? And there's a young teenager living, let's say, anywhere in rural Ireland, some in the middle of Ireland, maybe Offaly or Laois or Westmeath or whatever, and they're living out in the country, and this individual is absolutely hates everything around him. He hates the culture around him. He hates the Catholic faith, everything. He is, in his heart of hearts, an absolute out-and-out Marxist, an atheist, you name it, he is it. And look where he is. He's stuck in the middle of rabidly Catholic Ireland. That house over there has 13 children. That house over there has 10 kids. Over there there's 12. Over there there's 5. Parents are only married 6 years. And over there you have a house in which 2 of the children went on to become priests. Over there another couple are nuns. One of them in a convent in Cork. The other out a nursing convent away over in the far sea, over in the missions in South Africa or in South America. And you have others going forward all the time. Every night of the week, come 8 o'clock when all the farming chores are over, bang, they hit the knees, there's total silence, everyone's praying the rosary. If you go in, you have to kneel down and pray the rosary with them and the kill. So he runs into the nearest town to get away from all this. And he goes into the town, and of course, everybody and their granny, once the Angelus bells are chiming, they stop and they pray the Angelus in the middle of the street. Even the drunken old codgers, drunk, sitting up on a stool in the pub, are mumbling away their prayers. Even the old men, the young men, when the parish priest in his full cassock walks down the street, they're all tipping their caps to him. There's absolute respect. It's a monolithic Catholic culture. I'm proud of it. And they know, these ordinary farmers, these ordinary people, they can tell you the history of Dichuel and of St. Gallen. They are proud of their land of saints and scholars. They're proud of the fact that their ancestors, maybe their great-grandparents or their great-great-grandparents, and they can point to the Mass Rock where they went to keep the Catholic faith alive when it was absolutely life-threatening to go to Mass or to hold your rosary or to do anything that was at all Catholic. But they weren't afraid to do it. They endured poverty. They endured dungeon, fire and sword, quite literally, to hold on to the Catholic faith. How are we related to these people? Look at us. We have gotten so weak and wimpy, it's beyond belief. Now I'm asking you here tonight, and the people out in general who listen to us, get the backbone of the DNA of the Irish nation back in. Electrify it again. This is the town of Newry. Newry is a great town. Ur-Kintra. Wonderful place. I love the people. And I can imagine if an orange parade had gone through here, say in the 1950s, and one of them started making a mockery of the Pope, that the individual, maybe the entire parade would have been thrown into the canal by the people of Newry. Quite convinced of that. But only a few years ago, a creepy little English homosexual walked through this town and pretended and made a mockery of our Catholic Pope. And he got away with it. Well, I hope that never happens again. Sincerely hope that never happens again. Because we've got to stand up for our faith, stand up for our nation. We are the island of saints and scholars and great warriors. Think of a lot of people from Tyrone here tonight, so I think of Hugh O'Neill, Owen Roe O'Neill, and of course Owen Roe O'Donnell, Astrid Connell. We think also of great heroes all down the years. Brian Boru, the whole lot of them. Those are part of our makeup, part of our history, which we are being told to forget. Charlene's very good. She said a lot of things there. And she also got to the point that they're twisting and changing. Instead of teaching young children to be proud of their ancestry, proud of their nation, proud of what Ireland has achieved, they're being told to become little sexual perverts. They're told that they're maybe not really boys or girls. They maybe should switch and change. Well, that's worse than taking them out and beheading them, or taking them way off as the Vikings did to be slaves in Constantinople or wherever. Far, far worse. You're destroying the Irish nation on Irish soil, and it's unacceptable. Now, our ancestors stood up, St. Oliver Plunkett. We could go on for hours naming the martyrs, from Tyrone again, St. Patrick, O'Loughlin. They stood up for the faith. They refused to reject the faith. As a matter of fact, just one quick anecdote popped into my head. In Dungannon, 1608, Dungannon is our hometown for many of us here. There had been a rebellion in 1608. It was crushed ruthlessly by the English, and then they introduced the plantations thereafter. But before they did, they rounded up a number of the ringleaders. One of them was a guy called O'Cahan, another and he was caught with what they called a monk, who was probably a friar. Davis and Chichester, two of the biggest rascals, war criminals ever imaginable. The slaughters that they carried out all across Ulster, across Ireland, don't bear thinking about. Really, you can't begin to believe what these people did. But they were clearing out the country to bring in colonials. But in any case, they went along to this hanging. They were going to hang these two gentlemen. And for the hell of it, they said, we'll give the friar an opportunity to reject his faith, thinking that he wouldn't. That never happened before. The Irish always stood rigidly Catholic. And he said, would you reject your faith and become Protestant? He said, yeah, sure, I will, no problem. And they were actually disappointed because they wanted to hang him. So there he was, standing on the scaffold, and O'Cahan was given the same opportunity. He refused, absolutely no way. The noose was put around his neck. And then this friar, his erstwhile friend, started praying for him and saying, oh, you know, we've got to pray, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. And the guy said, your prayers count for nothing. You're a heretic. He kicked him off the platform and said, I'll show you how a real Irish Catholic martyr dies. And he jumped off. And that's the type of backbone, that's the type of attitude that we need today. And we're going to get that. We're going to rile ourselves up again. Because I'll tell you something, there's no point in lying down. Those of us who grew up through the troubles from good areas in East Tyrone and elsewhere, we know, we've seen the suffering, we know what happens. I've been shot, beat up, I've been imprisoned, I've been tortured, but I still refuse to give in to them, and will never give in to them. I'll never reject my Catholic faith, I'll never reject my Irishness. But there are people who have got wishy-washy, no backbone, this, that, and the other. Put backbone into them. We'll say, because we all, every single one of us, are going to have to answer to God. The moment we die, we have to give account for what we did or for what we didn't do. Now, I'm going to tell you, get out there. Start praying, because we're going to have a Reconquista. My wife is from the Iberian Peninsula. She knows what that means. The Reconquista, when it was overrun, Spain and Portugal and Catalonia overrun by the Moors, they fought back and they eventually put them out in 1492. It was called the Reconquest of Spain for Christendom. And it became one of the greatest Christian nations on earth, bringing Christianity to the Americas all over the known world at the time. So we are going to have to do the same. And the way we do it is we get out, like so many people here are, we pray the rosary in public. When the Satanists are marching through the street under the banner of the sin of pride, we stand there with Our Lady. We stand there with the Blessed Virgin. Be there only 2 of us or 50 of us. It doesn't matter. We stand there and we say, no, this is unacceptable. We reject you, Satan. We reject you who dare interfere with what we believe this country is all about. And they will melt away. Trust me. Some of them might give you an odd punch, but never mind. Keep going. You just stand up there, keep going. We gather in groupings like this here. We listen to these wonderful speakers. Absolutely. I mean, I can't wait. Well, I can't. If I stop talking, I could hear them. But I mean, I'm really looking forward to hearing from our remaining 2. Charlene has been a tremendous inspiration. And I just want to convey it to you, McGeough. This is our moment. We are alive right now. God knows when we may die, but right at this moment in time, we are alive. And we have a duty, a God-given duty, like the old monks and scholars of old, to keep the Christian faith alive, to restore the Irish nation, see to it that we do fulfill what our destiny and mission is, which is to evangelize across the world. Unfortunately, we're going to have to start here in Ireland, but don't lay back. Get out there, because we are going to restore the Irish nation and put traditional Catholic, Latin, Mass, Catholicism back at the centre of our spirituality. Good evening, McGeough.
Thanks for that, Gerry. I'm full of energy now. I'm going to fight them on the streets now. Look, you can all now, smokers, you can have your breath of fresh air. drinkers, you can have your water, and we'll just stretch your legs. Well, 15-minute break from now. And the bar's open. So,
Is there going to be an opportunity for questions?
there'll be a one-on-one. You can meet the speakers after the conference. Okay?